Welcome to Fridays Live.
Hello everybody and welcome to another Findmypast Fridays Live. My name is of course Liam, and if you haven't met me already, I work in the customer support team here at Findmypast, and as always it is my pleasure to have you with us for another hour on Friday afternoon. Do let us know in the comments first of all that you can hear and see me. Also say hello, let us know where you're coming in from, how is the weather looking like, of course get that weather report in nice and early. And yeah, let us know what your plans are for the weekend. Is of course Easter weekend, so I know a lot of people will have other things going on. So if you are here with us, we always do appreciate it. And as I say, if you've got anything exciting planned for the weekend, do let us know as well. We have Ellie in the comments here today as well. Me and Ellie are of course working today, despite it being a bank holiday, because we are the most committed in the company, some would say. We don't take days off here. It's just me and Ellie working hard away, keeping things intact whilst everyone else is enjoying the sunshine outside as well. I am in Dundee, in case you didn't know, and it is very sunny in Dundee today, starting to warm up a little bit as well, which is always really nice as well. But I was just saying to Ellie there that it's definitely spring, because this is the first time I've had hay fever this year. So I do apologize if I have to step away for a second to have a sneezing fit or anything like that. I do apologize, but we will be here nonetheless, and we will get through the Friday afternoon. So we've got a few familiar faces in the comments. Always nice to see. We've got Andrea from a sunny Stoke-on-Trent. Hoping sun's going to be a common theme here today. As I say, it's very nice in Dundee. Finally feels like springtime. So hopefully it is the same where you are as well. We've got Michelle from another sunny Sherburne and Elmet. It's also sunny in Massachusetts. Lovely to see as well. And Anne saying, yeah, it's lovely and sunny on the banks of the Tay today. It is indeed, and very typically sunny Dundee, Sunday, as they would say. A very nice day. So hopefully it stays like that for the weekend as well. Although I am going to Glasgow after work today, and Glasgow is quite often grey and rainy in contrast to Dundee. So hopefully it is the same over there once I land later on. We've got our friend Jen coming in from a beautiful day in Colorado. So as I said, I was hoping sun was going to be a common theme with the weather reports today. So it's really good to hear that everybody is getting the sunshine here as well. Sue Moon coming in from Guildford in Surrey. We've got Hereford, Heather in Edinburgh, Vicky in Scotland. Good to see some fellow Scots in the chat as well, but we're not alone here. Definitely a good few Scots in here as well. Who else have we got? We've got Cannon from sunny North London. Sue Moon saying his hay fever started breaking out a couple of weeks ago as well. So it's getting to that time of year, Sue, and you need to remember those one-a-day tablets in the morning as well. Make sure that you're keeping on top of them, doing everything you can to fight that off as well. Although sometimes there's no saving it. Sometimes it finds its way into me regardless as well. We've got Susan coming in from a still cool Canada, still getting over snow and ice storm. 3 weeks until I'm in Scotland, can hardly wait. Good stuff, Susan. So I'm glad you're seeing the back end of the bad weather anyway, snow and ice. We didn't really get much snow over here over winter, so hopefully things are warming up a little bit for you, and hopefully Scotland is as sunny as it is today in 3 weeks when you're over. And you'll need to let us know where you are coming over in Scotland as well. As I say, some good Scots in the chat today. Myself and Ellie. Ellie adopted Scottish. She's more or less half Scottish at this point. Well, we'll claim her now. I think she's been here long enough. So as I say, do let us know where you are going to be coming in from. And who else? We've got Stephanie over on YouTube in a sunny Guernsey. Grace, Ontario, Canada. And Gloria in Perth, Western Australia. So always kind of blows my mind every time I do this, how like proper four corners of the world that we've had that people tune in from. We've got up and down the UK. We've got America, Australia, Canada, all sorts of places covered. So as I say, always, regardless of how many of these I do, it's always just really cool to see everyone tuning in, all different time zones, all different weathers, all coming in for Family History Chat on a Friday afternoon. Elliot, I like this. Scott Elsh, I like that one. I like that. Not heard that one before, but as I say, we'll definitely claim you now, I think. So good stuff. So I just got an email notification. So if you bear with me, I'm going to close my emails so I don't get any more annoying little pings in the background whilst I'm trying to do that here as well. So yeah, as I say, it is Friday. That of course means that there are new records to be talking about. So we will get them out of the way. But before I jump the gun, as I was very closely to doing there is of course a question of the week as well. So I'll pop that on screen to give you time to get your answers in whilst we're talking about the new records here as well. So the question of the week is, what is the most unusual name you've come across, and is there a story behind it? So family historians, you know, we love an unusual name, whether it's an obscure middle name that helps the searches or just something to break the monotony when you're doing the searching. You want that obscure name. You want something a little bit unusual, something you know is going to be easy to find in the records. And this is linked to a segment that I'll be doing later on. So as I say, bear that in mind. But as I say, most unusual name, and crucially, if there is an interesting story behind it, be sure to let us know that as well. So I'll take that off the screen. I will get the comments back open and we will talk about the new records. And I'm going to full screen because sometimes when it's small in the corner, I can hardly see what is on the screen. So I won't be able to see the chat for a second. So any issues, I'm just going to have to write it out. But we'll talk about the new records. So the new records we have this week. So keeping into the theme of my Facebook Lives, I think this is probably 3 in a row now that I've had monumental inscriptions to talk about. Not complaining at all. I'm a big fan of monumental inscriptions. And I think every time I do these, I always say that it serves as a bit of a reminder that there are records that I actually need to go and look through myself. Not something that's always at the kind of forefront of my mind when I'm looking for records. But every time I look at them, I remind myself how cool they are, how much information is in them. And as I say, this time is no different. Another reminder that it's something I need to get back around to doing. So first thing to mention here is that all 3 new record collections this week, they are existing collections on site, but we have added new records to them as well. So the name of the records might not be unfamiliar to you, but as I say, there are new additions. So if you've already had a look through the 3 of them, maybe not yet found what you're looking for, now is the time to have another go through them. So starting off with the Montgomery Shire monumental inscriptions. For these, we have over 7,400 new records. That is covering 16 chapels, churches, and cemeteries. And information-wise, when you're looking at the transcription, very typical to what you'd expect on something like a parish burial, for example, name, date of death, age, different things like that. The key thing about these, of course, is the transcription of the headstone inscription. And images, I know quite often with monumental inscriptions, the images will be pictures of the headstones themselves, which is always nice to see. But some of the images on these ones have more information about the burial place itself, which is also a nice little bit of context behind it as well, and can be really helpful for any future searches which you might be doing in those records. So we do have an example of the records to show you. This is the burial of one Gary Frederick Holton in 1985. Now, if you think that name sounds familiar, it probably because he is quite a well-known guy in the UK in particular. I'm not sure if this TV show made it over to the States, for example, but he played Wayne in Of Wiedersehen Pet. So if you've watched Of Wiedersehen Pet, you're familiar with Wayne. This is who that is. It's definitely a TV show that was probably before my time, but my dad is big into those kind of old dramas, like old comedies like that, I should say. So definitely one I watched growing up. Probably was too young to fully appreciate it. Should probably revisit it now. But as I say, if your name is familiar, that is most likely why. He was also quite a successful singer-songwriter in later years as well, I think. However, he did tragically die aged 33 in 1985. And so he does appear on these records. So they are, you can see how they're a little bit more recent than some of the other ones which have been added, which is always nice to see as well. Get some more recent ones. As I mentioned about information-wise, the top kind of part of that is typical to parish burial: name, birth year, age, death year, death date, place. And the key thing, as I mentioned, is that inscription section, which we will look into in a little bit more detail in the next slide. But before I do, as I mentioned about the images, these ones are, the images on these ones, I should say, are information about the burial site itself, but you do have that monument type on the right-hand side, which gives you a little brief description as to what the headstone actually looks like. But looking at the inscription itself on these records, so this is just a copy of what appears on the headstone itself. But one thing I really liked about this one was the inclusion of the GRO references as well, not just for the deceased themselves, but also for whoever else appears listed on the record as well. For example, you can see the GRO death indexes mentioned for various different people on there as well. So again, you're always getting the names of the other individuals, their ages, when they passed, but also that little bit of clue as to where exactly to find them in the GRO indexes as well. So as I say, some nice little extra information, people that doing the inscriptions going above and beyond, shall we say, to include that in the records. And I mentioned about the document attached on the original image, which will show you more information about the burial site itself. So this was one of those ones where it had a little bit about the history, the location, the surrounding areas of the burial site. But because it was a Welsh record set, it also has this really nice little segment where it kind of translates key phrases, keywords, which you might see on headstones in the site itself. So things like the months, for example. Don't worry, Ellie, I'm not going to try and pronounce any of these. I will leave that to the experts. But as I say, certainly as someone who doesn't know the first thing about Welsh, lovely to see that as well. You've got the months, you've got the relations on there as well. There was also a second part to this with many more relations attached to it, and also other kind of keywords that you might expect to see, things like born, year, died, different things translated from Welsh to English. So even if it's not necessarily related to the records you're looking at in this collection, maybe if you are looking at some older Welsh parish records, for example, it can be a really good reference point for that as well. So as I say, definitely worth a look if you are doing any research in Welsh, and like myself, don't know the first thing about Welsh. So definitely a nice little touch on there as well. So moving on, but again, in keeping with the monumental inscriptions, these ones are from Middlesex. Again, update to an existing collection on the website. Over 6,200 new records from the Hounslow Cemetery in there. And these cover quite a long time, 1839 to 2022. So a lot of really recent records in here as well, which crucially, because we know there is that gap in the General Register Office indexes for last 15 years or so now, I guess it is, it's nice to see some of the more recent records being added to the website as well, especially with working in customer services. Something that we quite often get asked is how to find burial location of ancestors or maybe more recent relatives as well. So these are the kind of record sets that can be really helpful in that as well. And these ones, the images are of the headstones themselves, but there is also a document link with more information about the cemetery, similar to what we saw on the Montgomeryshire ones previously. So we have an example here. This is the transcription for one Ronald John Brown. Now, this is a good example because he did serve in the military. So you can see the type of information that is included on this, and especially much like the GRO indexes missing for the last couple of years, we know there aren't a great deal of World War II records on site, online, I should say, at the moment. A lot of them are still locked away. So things like these records can hold some really crucial clues and just general information which might not be available elsewhere. For example, when you look at the inscription section, you can see you've got his service number, his rank, the regiment he served in as well. So as I say, some really good information on there, especially in the context of World War II, where maybe that information isn't available elsewhere as well. And as again, looking at the right-hand side of the transcription, you've got that note section as well, referring to the Commonwealth Graves Commission website, so you know where to go for a little bit more information. And then that document link as well, which I will show you in a second. But first of all, we have a picture of the headstone itself. As I say, these images are of the headstones typically. So you can see the information that was on the transcription, the service number, the rank, the regiment, his name, age, of course, as well. And then on the document link, you've got a section about the history of the kind of cemetery itself, but also this really handy map as well, which will help find the exact location of the graves you're looking for, especially if you are going to be doing so and visiting the cemetery. You're one of those people, like I said, who may contact us and ask where to find that information. And you may remember a few, was my last one, maybe the one before, when I did the monumental inscriptions, and we had that lovely hand-drawn map, so detailed, where the benches were, where different banks were, where the different headstones were, different illustrations of the headstones themselves. It's always lovely to see a map of any description like this, which is going to help you find the grave. But in my head, I'm always just comparing it to that map. I always just think, I wish that couple did the same for every cemetery that we have monumental inscriptions for, because nothing is ever going to be the same again after seeing that. As I say, it's definitely probably one of my favorite things that I've seen on the website was that map. I can't remember what monumental inscription set that was. Maybe Ellie or Jen can remember, but as I say, if you haven't seen that live or not that record set, I would definitely recommend going back and having a look through that one. And the final new record set of the week is the Essex baptisms. A lot of new records from this. Over 122,000 new baptisms from Essex. That is from 154 churches, and again covering a great time period, 1638 to 2022. So again, much more recent ones in there as well as 1638. That is, of course, what, 200 years, almost exactly 200 years before civil registration. So if you have Essex ancestors, could end up being a really crucial record set for you. And like I say, especially if you have already looked through these and maybe not found what you're looking for, with over 122,000 new additions, now is definitely the time to give that another go and have a look. These ones, they are transcription only, unfortunately, but they can see the information on screen at the moment. It's typical parish baptism record. But what I did like about this one was the note section on the right-hand side. So although they are transcription only and you can't actually see the original, you will pick up some additional information from the note section. For example, the notes on this one says that the father's surname wasn't actually recorded in the original register, so it has just been defaulted to the child's surname, which was Westwood. So as I say, although there are no images, if you are looking at these records, definitely be sure to have a look at the notes section. And of course, you've been with us long enough now, you know that it's not just new records which we add every week, it is newspapers as well. And I'm back to being given a lovely long list of updated titles. That is probably only half of the updated titles that you're seeing on the right hand side of the slides there. Heaps of new titles, a lot of new years being added in there, and as well as 4 brand new titles to the website as well. They are the Flint and Holywell Chronicle, the Hammersmith and Fulham Independent, Sheerness Guardian and East Kent Advertiser, St Ives Weekly Summary, and Stratford upon Avon Herald. And I've just noticed I said 4 new titles and I've read out 5, so I do apologise. We'll blame that one on the hay fever, I think. But again, brilliant new titles, loads of years being covered by that as well, especially when you look at like the Stratford upon Avon Herald, St Ives Weekly Summary. A lot of time period being covered by these records as well, so definitely one which is worth a look. I mean, over 100 years of the Stratford upon Avon Herald, so a really good edition, one we're really good to have online. And as I say, they are brand new, so if you do have ancestors in those areas, definitely have a look through them this weekend. Let's have a look. So that is the new records. I will remove my slides from the screen. Going to have a little drink of water. And as I say, I had to full screen those so I can actually read what was on them. Sometimes it goes so small that I just can't read what's on the thing and end up embarrassing myself. So I went full screen and I missed the actual comments there. So we'll just have a quick flick through, see what we've got as well. So some crucial advice from our Welsh expert there. She's back to being Welsh now. She was Scottish for the first part, but she's back to being Welsh, and she's just a reminder that Welsh words do sometimes mutate as well. So what you see in that document may not be 100% accurate, or may have differed over time for sure. What else have we got there? Good stuff. So we will do some question of the week answers, since I was scrolling back up through there as well, and then we'll move on. We've got a little bit of fun next, so we can, as I say, it's Easter weekend. I know people maybe have got other things going on, so I thought we'd have a little bit of fun and I've got a little thing to do next. But as I say, we will have a look through the question of the week answers, which you've very kindly been popping in as I was waffling away there. So first of all, we have Nicole. Unusual name for my family I've come across is Kezia. Ellie's nodding, so I think I got it right the first time. A Admiral for a first name and a Dresser for a middle name, which I can't seem to find where it comes from, as it just randomly appears on the record. So that is definitely an unusual one, and like you said, must be a story about that. If it's come up a few times, must be a story behind that, you would think. So maybe if anyone has similarly come across a Dresser, do let Nicole know in the comments as well. Let's see, we've got Karen. Cornelius Tripe is my favourite, a druggist who was apprenticed in London and practiced in Exeter, Devon. My fifth great grandfather, 1751 to 1818. I like that Cornelius Tripe. Sounds like could be a Charles Dickens character or something almost with that name. It's a really cool name. That I like Cornelius as well. One of my great grandfathers was Cornelius, but went by Neil, of course, with the English to Latin translation. But I do like the name Cornelius. What else have we got? We've got Janus, my 4 times great grandfather, Pythagoras Quarry, an agricultural labourer, 1777 to 1858. Why did he get named after a Greek mathematician? Only other Pythagoras in the family is his grandson. Not a clue why. As soon as I saw your comment, Janet, I had flashbacks, started getting shivers about Pythagoras' theorem in higher maths in school. So, as I say, a very strange thing to be named after. Definitely not one I'll be naming my children after. As I say, just the name Pythagoras alone gave me shivers up my spine and brought back years of anxieties not understanding Pythagoras' theorem. So hopefully that is the last I will hear of Pythagoras for a while. So what else have we got here? We'll do a few more before we go on to the other bit. We've got Anne saying, besides rude names, I'm going to ask for some rude names. Maybe include asterisks if they're too rude. Maybe include asterisks in there. But you've enticed me now, man. I need to know what these rude names are. So many Landals and McFagan. I have a couple of children named Baden Bowell on both sides of my family, and 2 relatives named after Ottoman military men during the Crimean War, Osman and Omar in Lancashire and Midlothian. So very interesting. And yeah, as I said earlier about unusual names, it's what you're looking for sometimes when you're trying to find a particular ancestor in a particular area. And I can't imagine there's many Omars in Lancashire and Midlothian back in the day. So that would be a nice handy one for whenever you're trying to look through those records. And we will do 2 more for now, and I will come back to the rest later on. Daphne, the Reverend Merrick Beebe. I like that, Beebe. That's a good last name. That'd be a good middle name as well. That's a very good one. I do like that one. And what else does it say? We'll do 1 more here. We've got Sue Moon. I'm getting cropped off again here. The Tilston family, 1600s. Doesn't sound unusual, but the additions over century have made me smile. Late 1700s, one branch added Monkhouse as a middle name. One married a Rogers and became Monkhouse Rogers Tilstone. One married a Legg Wilkinson, and one of the latest children was Benjamin John Legg Wilkinson Rogers Tilstone. Imagine getting that on a form or certificate. Exactly. I'd be interested to see a monumental inscription for John and see the sheer size of the headstone would have had to be to fit that one in. And I'm going to need another drink of water after reading that name. That is definitely one of the longest names I've come across for a while anyway, Simon. Thank you very much. Good stuff. So still plenty of time to get your answers in for the question of the week. I've got a few more sitting there to be read out as well. But as I say, we will do something a little bit different in the next segment, and then we will look at a record set. I'll just have a quick scan of the comments there. Yeah, Ellie's saying that she doesn't have any unusual names in the family tree. I feel left out. I'm trying to think if I do now, but I don't think I do. As I say, I've got a Cornelius, but it was just the Latin Neil. Now I'm gonna need to have another look at my family tree. As I say, we're all quite boring people, just especially with my grandfather's side. Every second generation is called the same. It goes Neil, Michael, so it doesn't really help very much, as I say, when you're looking for unusual names. But as I say, we will do a quick something a little bit fun, hopefully something a little bit different. I have prepared a short Easter quiz for us all to take part in. Well, not me, I know the answers, of course. I made sure that Ellie didn't know the answers so she can all take part as well. Some family history ones, some more general historic ones as well. So typing fingers at the ready, be sure to get your answers in. So the first question is, which of these Easter related names isn't real? Now, I thought when I put this up that maybe isn't real isn't the right phrasing. Which of these did I not find in our record sets is probably a more accurate way of putting it. So was it Easter Eggbee, Hester Chocolate, Good Friday Tippler, Pama Leafson, or Mini Eggs? Which of these do you think I did not come across in our records? As I say, may well be someone called all of these, but I didn't find them. I didn't find one of them, I should say, in our record collections as well. All brilliant names. I would love for all of them to be real, but as I say, unfortunately, one of these is not. So we've got a few guesses coming in. Mini Eggs leading the charge so far. Victoria thinks maybe Good Friday Tippler. I should add there is no prize for this, so I can only apologise. No prize. Maybe if you sweet talk Ellie, the winner can maybe she'll do your family tree for you, maybe something like that. Break down those brick walls, perhaps. You'll have to ask her nicely, but as I say, no prizes, I'm afraid. Just bragging rights, which is what we're all here for anyway, as well. So nobody has got it yet, actually. We'll give it one more minute and see. You had to ruin the fun, didn't you, Ellie? You just had to ruin it. Just as I said, nobody had got it. Pama Leafson. There was no Pama Leafsons in the record sets as well. That is definitely the most believable sounding name because but it is one that I actually made up. And I was saying to one of my colleagues when I was doing this that the hardest bit of this was actually making one up because the more I did it, the more I kept finding ones. Like I couldn't believe there was an Easter Eggbee and a Mini Eggs and different things like that. So as I say, Pama Leafson is probably the most believable one out of the list, but is the one that I did not find. So as I say, Ellie is leading the charge, and yeah, Ellie has got it in one as well. But I was definitely inspired by Pama, our Italian colleague. We were actually having a conversation in a meeting that we were in the other day, and we were talking about Easter. And as I say, we have a colleague, Pama, who is Italian, and she was explaining that her name is technically an Easter name because palm leaves, palm branches, and very related to Easter. And then that's when I had a little light bulb moment, and I thought, I'm going to steal that one. That's actually a quite good one. And then Leafson. I thought Leafson was a surname, but then I looked up in the records and there's only about 20 results for it or so. So I've almost made up a surname there as well, but it's a good surname. And Victoria, I do not appreciate these allegations. That's because we know Liam likes a tipple on a Friday. Regardless of how accurate they are, I do not appreciate those allegations, Victoria. Although, as I say, it may well be true later on today. So that was question one. There are 3 more questions. Ellie is leading the charge so far. Ellie is 1-0 up, so she will be doing her own family tree at this stage. So it's question number 2. When did Cadbury's make their first chocolate egg? The Easter eggs that we all know and love today. But when did Cadbury's make their first chocolate egg? Was it 1913, 1888, 1875, 1902, or 1894? Which of those do you think? When do you think the first egg was made by Cadbury's? I should note that somebody else made one before Cadbury's did. If you're familiar with Fry's chocolate, I think they might have been the first to do it. But when was it Cadbury's when did Cadbury's do theirs? So let's got a few guesses coming in. At the very least, somebody is going to be tying with Ellie because she has not got this one right, but a few people have. What was the answer? 1875. It was 1875 for the first Cadbury's chocolate egg. So a few people got that in who got that one right. So Victoria got that right. Karen, Daphne, Connie, Georgia all got that one right. So a few people leading the charge for a free family tree this week. So as I say, 2 more questions. Next question. Where did the Easter Bunny originate? Which country do you think originally started the Easter Bunny tradition? Was it the Netherlands, Germany, the UK, United States, or Peru? Which of those countries do you think first had the Easter Bunny? Where did it kind of start? Where did it branch out to be what we all know and love these days? Netherlands, Germany, UK, United States, or Peru? Few people getting this one. This is one that I thought was going to be harder, and then I was running the questions by my partner the other day, and she got this one right before I'd even listed the answers. So I think I'm not as clever as I thought I was, maybe, but yeah, a lot of people getting this one right. It was indeed Germany. So well done. We've got a few ties now here because Karen, Victoria, Daphne, Connie, Ellie, of course, all got those ones correct. So 2 apiece with 1 question to go, and I do not want anybody getting this one wrong. Everybody should be getting this one right, and Ellie is under strict instructions to ban anybody who gets this one wrong. So no pressure, guys, but as I say, you should be getting this one right. So what is the best way to spend Easter? Is it with family and friends, Easter egg hunt, Findmypast Fridays live, decorate an egg, or bake a cake? Which of those do you think is the best way to spend Easter? As I say, no pressure, but it might be your last Findmypast Friday live if you do get this one wrong. Few people getting banned here, I think. Nah, I'm only joking. I wouldn't ban anyone. It is, of course, a very subjective question, and everybody has their own ways that you would spend Easter. So I will not be judging anybody for this. But the answer I personally was looking for was Findmypast Fridays live, of course. What else would you want to be doing but being here with me on a Friday afternoon, of course? So thank you for everybody that got that one correct. As I say, no bans will be handed out this time. I will let you all off this time, but yellow card, let that be a warning to you. And I was thinking when I did this quiz that as I say, that is obviously, there is no correct answer to that question. It's a very subjective question. And I remember that one time my dad really likes making quizzes for us. And one Christmas he made a quiz for us, and a few drinks were had. Things got a little bit heated because my dad is notorious for doing subjective questions. So in his Christmas quiz, one of the questions was, what is the best Christmas song of all time? Which, again, there is no real right answer to that. You kind of need to think, well, what does my dad think is the best Christmas song of all time? And it was, of course, Fairy Tale of New York. But again, like I say, I think I'm kind of taking after my dad a little bit there, and these subjective quiz questions that a lot of people got right. But as I say, a subjective one. You're obviously more than welcome to spend Easter however you like to do so, especially, as I say, all 5 of those were very good options as well. And I'm sure some of us will be partaking in all 5 over the course of the weekend. So that was the quiz. Thank you very much for participating. I will be tallying up the scores afterwards and sending a few JEDCOMs over to Ellie for her to get started over the weekend for you all. So she didn't agree to that, but that's the price. So she's going to have to deal with it now. So we will move on to our final segment today. And we're going to look at a record set that you might not have seen before, one that you might not have used necessarily. Certainly a new one to me anyway. These are the Britain Business Indexes 1892 to 1987. So first of all, I'll look at kind of what can you expect to see in these record sets. So the records themselves are indexes, well, quite self-explanatory, funnily enough, but they are indexes of shopkeepers, general business people, captains of industry, from people all around Britain, all corners of the country covered. These are transcriptions and images as well, and the images are the best bit about these, which I'll show you a few examples of shortly. But the transcription wise, you've got the names, any aliases they might have been going by, business name, the year the index was taken, occupation, the publication they appear in. The images themselves, however, as I say, these are the best bits about these records. They include details about the business, biographical details about the person in question, their background, their education, their associates and hobbies, especially interesting. And you can tell I was very excited about this. Photographs with no less than 4 exclamation marks, which, as I say, always lovely to see photographs. And there are some really, really good ones in this record set as well. So if you do have any shopkeepers, captains of industry, general business people in your family tree, this record set is definitely worth a look. So I'm going to remove the slides and share my screen instead. Let me just check and see. Yeah, we can all see that good stuff. So these are business indexes. So these would come under the directories and social history section of the website, but you know it's me, you know how I'm going to search them is through the all record sets page itself. This is the best way of searching arguably any record set on the website. I would say if you're searching anything in particular, this is the way to do that there. So we will do a quick search for business index, and then you'll get that. As I say, it comes under the directories and social history, and then the directories and almanacs subcategory. But if we click on this here, we will be taken to a lovely little search page there. Quite a basic one in terms of the information that you're inputting there. First name, last name, year, publication title, and place as well. And of course, we've got this lovely little segment about we learn about these records, which is always really good information. Even if it's a record set that you've searched a few times before, I would definitely have a look at this for that as well. Just picking up a little bit of background, a little bit hints and tips about these as well. Especially the background on these ones are who printed the records as well, how exactly the indexes were taken as well, what sort of more information can you expect to see. And because, as I say, it might be a record set which you've not actually come across before, the publication bit is really nice as well. This kind of just shows you a little bit more about what publications are included, and also gives you some clues as to the locales that are included as well. As I say, all corners of the country being included there. We've got Berwick upon Tweed, Edinburgh, Ipswich, Newcastle, Wrexham, all sorts of stuff. There's some more general ones as well, just like notable Londoners, notable personalities, different things there. So as I say, a lot of the country is covered by these. So if you are noticing any places on that list which is relevant to your family tree, then it is definitely worth a look. So when I was having a look at these records and kind of seeing what they actually look like, it kind of became obvious that there's sort of 2 categories, I would say, that they come under, 2 different sort of versions of them, if you like. So I'll show you an example of both, just so you can kind of see exactly what they look like. So I'm just going to use the first and last name field for this, and I'm going to use the example of one Richard Kershaw. And when we search for that here, so you can see there are 5 results for Richard Kershaw. Now, one thing you may notice when you're looking at these is that there are quite a few different results, and all images have been ticked. That's because he does appear multiple times in the same, his name appears multiple times on the same page. So there are sort of different transcriptions available for the different sections of the publication. Now, as I say, there are transcription and image as well, but we'll look at the transcription first of all. This kind of just gives you a little preview as to what you can expect to see in the record sets themselves. As I said, the information, first name, last name, a business name, the year, the index, a address, always a really good one as well. We all love an address, especially one like this for a business, can help for those future searches if you're having a look in any other indexes, or the newspapers, crucially as well, a really good resource for looking up the history of a business person or a company as a whole as well. And the notes section as well, illustration of premises included. So as I said, I was very excited about the inclusion of photographs in this record set. And this one is slightly different. There's not a photograph of the individual themselves, but there is this lovely, very intricate, very detailed illustration of the premises itself. And just the sheer size of it as well was something that I found quite amazing as well. And how grand it was for a mill, I found that really cool. And again, not always going to be photographs available. This one was 1895, I think. So having that illustration of the property itself is always really nice to see. But it isn't just a really detailed picture of the premises itself. It's also really detailed information about the business itself and also the individuals who are involved as well. So if you were on one of my lives a couple of weeks ago, and I can't remember exactly when it was, but if you were on one a couple of weeks ago, I did one of the Dundee directories, the Scottish business directories. And if you were on that one, you may remember that the information on the original images there was very much just industry name, a property address. There wasn't real information about the person, about the business itself. And this is why these ones are so cool, because you can just see how detailed they get into there about when the business was when it was established, who purchased the business, another really nice description of the property itself. And it carries on below as well, things about what happened in different years, even the architect who designed that as well. So even if maybe you've got architect ancestors who might have been responsible for buildings like this, again, it's really worth a look for that. And yeah, just as I say, that sort of detail that for 1895, unless it appears in a newspaper, you're arguably not going to get this sort of detail anywhere else. Things like there being 40,000 spindles, dressing, and other machines. All machinery regulated in the latest and best methods. As I say, just that real intricate detail about your ancestors' business, which, as I say, unless they are in something like a newspaper, for example, might not be able to find that anywhere else. And I know we all love talking about rabbit holes as well. This is a very easy record set to get sucked into, because if you open up the film strip, you get a little preview of the rest of the pages. And even just doing the prep for this, I find myself just spotting an illustration out the corner of my eye and thinking, that looks quite interesting. Let's have a look at that. Again, another really intricate drawing of the plant itself. And this is where you start to see images of the individuals themselves as well. Like this one, for example, was Mr. A. Robinson, who Victoria Ironworks. And you can see, again, illustrations of the individuals themselves. And as I say, that is one type of them there. There's not always illustrations of the individuals. It will quite often be images of the premises itself, which again is nice to see. But we know how important images are. We know how much we love images of our ancestors. So as I say, there is another slight variation of the publications which have some more detailed images, shall we say. So I will pull up another one of those examples here. So this one is Archdale Palmer. Now, if you're wondering, I did just put the last name Palmer into an initial search when I was having a look for things. Again, because of Pama Leifson, because of our colleague Pama. It's just the way my head works sometimes, word association. But we'll pop in Archdale Palmer and I'll show you another variation. As I say, this is, if it's photographs of ancestors you're looking for, this is the one you're looking for. This is from the Notable Personalities publication. There was the option to filter by publication on the original page. So if it is, this is a photographs in particular you're looking for, that is definitely one of the key publications to look out for. So we'll open up the original image of Archdale. And as I say, this is sort of like the other variation of these, where it's just a page, four individuals on the page, photographs of them, varying information as well. So this is Archdale in the corner here. He was actually the managing director of Slashinger Sportwear, a brand that is still about today, of course. If you're ever in a sports shop, you can't, never too far away from Slashinger. And yes, he was the managing director of Slashinger. But as opposed to the other one, where it was very much about the business and about the premises, these ones are more about the personality behind the business itself. And as I say, just the kind of sheer information you're getting about ancestors in this is something that, again, you'd struggle to find anything as detailed as this, a proper written history of the man from from the 1900s. This one was, I should correct myself there, sorry. So just a quick look at the information. If we zoom in there, you can see things like he was elected member of the committee of the All England Lawn Tennis Club at Wimbledon. Something that I looked up when I searched Archdale Palmer just to see if there was anything interesting online about him is he was actually a Wimbledon semi-finalist in 1892 and again in 1893, singles and doubles in 1893 as well. So quite the tennis player by the looks of things as well. And Slazenger was, of course, originally a tennis brand mostly, so it would make sense that they had a guy like that at the helm as well. But again, just the detail you're getting there, not just the business side of things, not just his background, but he was the Army Postmaster in the South African War, secretary of the All England Tennis Club, a managing director, and all just different things there, clubs that he's a member of as well. So again, that sort of extra detail that you're looking for about ancestors, that not just names and addresses, which are also available on here as well, but things like clubs they were members of as well, just that nice little detail. And there's not a section about his recreation on this particular one, but if we look at this gentleman, Richard Cameron North Palaret, I think that is, you can see that he has a recreations bit at the end of him. So his hobbies, I really like this: golf, fishing, etc. Just general outdoor activities as well. And when I was looking through these images as well, they are very much of the time, shall we say, for how these sort of more affluent, well-known business individuals would be. There's a lot of golf, a lot of fishing, Robert Ivy Page, golf, tennis, reading, the theatre, and the river. I'm not sure if he just generally enjoys rivers or he's another fisherman, but again, as I say, very telling of the type of individuals that you're looking for in this particular one. I should say that's not the same for the rest of the things necessarily, but you will notice a common theme, shall we say, with the hobbies. It's a lot of golf, a lot of tennis. I've seen horse riding mentioned quite a few times as well. So, as I say, very telling of the sort of class of individual maybe that you're looking for, the societal class of them hobby-wise. But yeah, that was, as I say, just a very quick overview of a record set, which you may have missed. As I say, I was suffering a little bit today, so it's not maybe as detailed as it has been in previous weeks. I can only apologize. Nothing to do with bank holiday, I promise. Everything to do with hay fever and just my general health and well-being, I suppose. I did warn Ellie beforehand that it might be a little bit shorter, a little bit more brief than usual. But as I say, a very interesting record set. I've not done it justice there whatsoever, but definitely have a look through that if you haven't done so already. Especially I've seen people mention that they do have shopkeeper ancestors as well. So a nice one to look through. Or if you're like me, if you're like the rest of the hosting team, you love a rabbit hole, you just want a general nosy, see what's out there. A nice one to just open up, have a look at the thumbnails, flick through the pages, see who's out there, see what sort of information that you can find. So let's have a look. So as I said, we will run through some more question of the week answers before I let you all go and get on with your bank holiday weekend. If you're getting a bank holiday weekend, of course, as I say, some of us, me, Ellie, Jen, we're the hardcore here. We're working away still, but I'm sure everyone has got plans for the weekend. So we'll run through a quick more question of the weeks, and then I will let you all go. So pick up where we left off. We've got Ellen, not the most unusual, fourth great-grandfather. Septimus Witter was the seventh child born in his family. That's another really nice name. Like I said before about the one that I thought maybe a Charles Dickens character. It's given me kind of Harry Potter vibes, that Septimus Witter. That could definitely be a character in Harry Potter. That I do like that. What else have we got? Lynn over on YouTube saying, my great-grandfather was called Winter Dodsworth. His mother's maiden name, but he went by the name of Harry. No one seems to know where he got the Harry from. That's the thing back in the day. Sometimes you're looking at an ancestor and just, you've got them in censuses, and then next census you can't find them anywhere, and lo and behold, he's decided that he wants to go by Harry now. I'm not sure why. Winter's a really nice name. I like Winter as a name as well. And I quite like the ones when you see like Good Friday Tippler that I mentioned earlier, people that are named sort of after the sort of time of year that they were born. You'll see a lot of people like the Easter ones, like Winter Dodsworth. I'm assuming he was born in winter, of course. It'd be even more unusual if he was born in the middle of July and called Winter. But as I say, that would be my assumption anyway. And I like this one from Victoria. Found a Zebedee, but not a Dougal. So I do like that one. A nice manic roundabout reference if anyone is not familiar with that one again, much like a Biedersheim pet. I'm not sure if that's made it worldwide or not, but that was a childhood favorite of mine growing up. And I remember having a Dougal soft toy when I was growing up as well. So I do like that one. And yes, another one I probably need to revisit. It's one of those ones when you watch children's TV shows from when you were young and you watch them back with your adult eyes on, you realize just how strange and out there some of these TV shows were. When you were young, you just liked them for what they were. But when you watch them back, you think, what must my parents have been thinking when I was sitting watching this and they were just sitting in the background with us on the TV? And we will finish up with one from Jen, maybe not unusual, but tough. Thomas Tolman Brown went by Tolman, I like that name, which was the surname of a long-distant grandmother. Eventually became the key clue to understanding the lineage back to the 1635 voyage of my English ancestors arriving in Massachusetts, all under the name Tolman, which made him a lot harder to find. That's already in 1635 as well. It's just, I'm nowhere near that in my tree, so maybe I should have won that quiz and got Ellie to do it for me, but that is just amazing. Like I said, I really like the name Tolman. I'm glad he went by Tolman and not Thomas. I do like that name, so thank you very much indeed for sharing that one, Jen. Have we got time for a few more? I've got a few more. We'll go for Karen since she was late joining. I don't put anyone on the naughty step for coming in late here. So Karen got last one, an ancestor called Washington Cornelius Smith Tivy. I like Washington. I quite like geographical names as well. Washington is quite an esteemed sounding name. Sounds like an esteemed gentleman, Washington does. So I like that one, Karen. Thank you very much indeed for joining us as well. As I know you said you're going to have to watch back as well. So I appreciate you making it in the end and still having time for the question of the week as well. So thank you very much indeed. So I think that will take us to the end of today's session. This is one of those ones where I said to Ellie that, oh, it might not be as long as normal. It might not be as detailed as normal. I'm not feeling great. And then next thing you know, it's 52 minutes later. I've been waffling all sorts of nonsense for 52 minutes. Haven't sneezed once as well. So maybe I've beaten the hay fever. Maybe all I needed was a little bit of family history on Friday to get me through the hay fever. But I will let you all go and enjoy your weekend. I hope the weather stays nice for us all and you all have a fantastic weekend, regardless of what you're getting up to. Thank you very much indeed again for joining, and I will see you all again soon.